Most Dynasty players think that rookie picks are safe, but if you actually convert them into real player value, it completely changes how you should be trading them because the difference between the 102 and the 105 is a little bit bigger than you think. My name is Caleb, and welcome to the Dynasty Edge HQ, where we talk about all things Dynasty, and I want to get you from your team rebuilding to winning championships for many years to come. And if you find anything in this video helpful or actionable, I encourage you to subscribe down below and let me know in the video what picks you're trading and what you've been able to get for your first round picks in 2026. Today, we're going to be talking about what I trade for every 2026 first round pick, what they're worth, what you can be getting them for, and possibly what you could be selling your picks for. I think it's really valuable to know what the value of each of these picks are, where I land on some of these values, and what I've been able to get in some of these trades. And so I really wanted to lay them out pick by pick in tiers so that you could understand where the values lie. So today we're going to be starting with the 1.01. Now, the likely pick here is Jeremiah Love. He is this generational talent. He's this guy that is going to come into the league and immediately be a top 5 running back in value. Now, maybe he doesn't produce like a top 5 running back the first year, but his value as far as trading and all of that will be a top end running back. Now, what you can likely get for this pick at the QB position is Jaden Daniels, maybe Lamar Jackson, Caleb Williams, or Patrick Mahomes. I think that those players are well within reason of the 101. So if you're like, hey, I don't need Jeremiah Love, I already got Gibbs, I already got Bijan, I'm good to go, I need a quarterback, that's the type of player that you can go get. For some of them, it might cost you a little bit more than 1.01, but that's the quarterback range that you can go out there and get. Now, if you have one of those quarterbacks, 1.01 might be what you need to do to go and trade and tier off of that. So that's just, the QB value here. The running back value, I think Ashton Jeanty is kind of the equivalent. So if you missed out on him last year and you want to get him, get a more solidified thing, you can trade your Ashton Jeanty for the 101 or trade your 101 for Ashton Jeanty if you want to be able to do that. I think that Bijan and Gibbs are just a little bit higher value than this. You would definitely have to add to the 1.01 to get them. Just the same thing with like Josh Allen. You have Drake May, players like that. It's just going to take a little bit more to go get them. You just might have to add on top. At wide receiver, you might be able to get Amon-Ra St. Brown for the 1.01, Malik Neighbors, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson. It might cost you a little bit less than the 1.101 to get some of those players, but this is around the value that you should be looking for to get that. Now, in tight end premium and just any type of tight end premium, you can look at Brock Bowers and Trey McBride at the tight end position here. What it's worth in the 1.01. So if you're looking for trade values, if you're looking for players that you could be getting for this pick, that's where you're going to be looking at. Now, the next one is this first tier that a lot of people have. It is the 1.02 to the 1.05. Now, what I decided to do, instead of breaking down by position for each pick, I just put it in who I would get for each pick in those tiers and just kind of lump it all into one thing. So the likely picks in this range, kind of consensus right now, is Fernando Mendoza, Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon, and Jordan Tyson. Those are like the guys. So if you need a running back, if you need another position or a quarterback, you might get Fernando Mendoza at the 1.02, or you might get him at the 1.05. If you don't want to wait on that, if you want to make a move, this is what I think you could be trading in this range to be able to trade these picks for a player. So at the 1.02, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, Jackson Dart, I think are well within range there. Devon Achane, James Cook, Jonathan Taylor, I think are in that range as well at the 1.02. George Pickens, Tet McMillan. I traded a 1.02 pretty much straight up for George Pickens. I was very confident in that. I know he has a contract situation going on in Dallas, but I think that he is such a high-end wide receiver, and you get him at the 1.02, that is way better than a rookie you don't know what's going to happen with. And then at tight end, Colson Lovin, I think, is great at the 1.02 that you can go and evaluate at a tight end premium. If there's no tight end premium, I wouldn't be willing to give that up for him personally. I think he moves past the 1.05 for me, but if the tight end premium, most people play with the tight end premium, I think that's what you're looking for. Now, at the 1.03, you got Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy, and Bo Nix. Kenneth Walker at the running back, I think that's where he's valued at now. I've been trying to get him like crazy because I really think his ceiling is high, but I think you're going to have to pay something around the 1.03, and you might even have to add. People are really trying to sell high on him. Smart Dynasty managers are just not letting him go for cheap. Wide receiver, we have Nico Collins, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, and Mecca Ibuka, I think are all wide receivers there. And then Tyler Warren kind of goes with the rest of the 103 to 1.05 at tight end. I think that he is just a great tight end to have, and at value, I would be looking to trade the 1.05 for him, but I would go all the way up to the 1.03 for him and Colston Loveland, depending on who you like more in whatever offense. But that's the 1.03. At 1.04, the only quarterback I have is Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, I would pay all the way up to the 1.024. He's just elite when he plays, when he's not injured. He is a top quarterback every year, and he's going to be for the next almost decade. So safe pick, Dak Prescott. Running back, Bucky Irving, Breece Hall, Christian McCaffrey at the 1.04. Wide receiver, Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr., T. Higgins. You might be able to get Brian Thomas Jr. for cheaper than this. I know that he kind of slid into here at 1.04, but I would say you could get him between 1.04 to 1.08 pretty easily. Now at 1.05, we have Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff. At running back, Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. I've been trying to get for a 27 first or trading him for a 27 first. But if I were to trade him in this draft class, it would have to be at the very least a 1.05. Wide receiver, we have Roma Dunze, Luther Burden, A.J. Brown. Yes, I would trade the 1.05 for A.J. Brown personally. I think that when he plays, he is just a smash wide receiver, and he's still young enough. I know people get to this like H-Cliff and Dynasty, but like, I don't want that wide receiver anymore. AJ Brown is just elite. So I'd be willing to move the 1.05 for him. Okay, moving on to the 1.06 to the 1.09. The likely picks here are Casey Concepcion, Kenyon Sadiq, Denzel Boston, Omar Cooper, Jonah Coleman, Jadarian Price. So in this range, so I didn't break this up by pick. In this range, these are the positions and the players that I'd be looking to get. Quarterback, Cam Ward, Tyler Shuck, Jordan Love. Jordan Love, I would push to the 1.09. It seems like there's a little bit of stink on him just in general because of that offense. So Cam Ward and Tyler Shuck, or even Jordan Love at the 1.09, I'd be willing to move them for. Cam Ward, I believe, is just going to continue to improve. He was an elite quarterback prospect. He comes in, goes at a 1.01. I just think he has his whole career in front of him. So there's really not much that you're missing out on if you trade the 1.06. He was earlier, he was like around this pick, maybe a little bit earlier in last year's draft. If you can get him or Tyler Shuck for around this range, I think that's a great value, especially with what's on the board right now. The biggest one in the 1.06 to 1.09 range is Kenyon Sadiq. If he goes in the first round as a tight end, I think that he definitely would be that 1.06. But also the running backs, depending on where they are drafted, could make this interesting. Now, running backs in this range, we have Cam Skattebo, Javonte Williams, Kyron Williams, Travis Etienne or Achane, and then Chase Brown. Who I would be targeting out of these is probably Javonte Williams and Chase Brown in this range. Maybe Travis Etienne or Travis Achane. I think that they are really good in this range. I would be selling Cam Skattebo and Kyron Williams in this range for sure. At wide receiver, we have Rashee Rice, Zay Flowers, Jameson Williams, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, and Marvin Harrison Jr. Biggest names that I would be going for in this range are Devonta Smith. Rashee Rice is great to take a chance on in this range. He would normally, without all of his off the field issues, be way higher on this list, but this is around what I'd be willing to take the risk on him for, preferably more towards the 1.09, but this is the range I think that he is probably at because of his off the field issues. And then at tight end, we're sitting at Harold Fannin and Tucker Kraft. Tucker Kraft is elite in that Packers offense when he is healthy. So I would be more than willing in a tight end premium to give up the 1.06 to the 1.09 to him. And if you just desperately need a tight end in another format, Tucker Kraft is great to get here. And then Harold Fannin had an elite year last year for the Browns. And so I think that he's a great pick if you're looking to get a tight end that's young. I haven't experimented honestly too much with this, but from what I've seen around just other leagues and other players, I've seen him going in this range. So just something to keep in mind as you go forward. And then lastly, we have the 110 to the 112 range in drafts in the first round. And these are the players, again, Casey Concepcion, Kenyon Sadiq, Denzel Boston, Amari Cooper, Jonah Coleman, Jadarian Price, Ty Simpson is now in this range. And so these are some of the players that I'd be willing to move. Definitely CJ Stroud, Sam Darnold, Kyler Murray has now moved up here. Kyler Murray might be in the next tier, but I do believe there's still a little bit of stink on him. And so if you can get him for cheaper than this, which I think you can, I would definitely move it because I think Kyler Murray is going to be in line for a great year. Bryce Young, Malik Willis, and Daniel Jones all are sells in this range. If I am having those players, if I can get something like this for them, just to re-roll into somebody like Ty Simpson if he gets good draft capital, just depends. At running back, we have RJ Harvey, Derrick Henry, DeAndre Swift, and David Montgomery. Yes, it's getting a little gross at the running back position, but I do believe that these players I would sell at this range. I wouldn't be really buying any of these running backs. I would try to actually buy the last tier of running backs if I could at this range. If you can get a Javonte Williams for this, that's what I would be trying to get. I would try, again, with the 110 to the 112, try a little bit higher before you settle in here with some of these running backs. For the wide receiver position, we have Travis Hunter, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, and DJ Moore. I'm okay getting any one of these players for this range of pick. I think they all have higher upside than this. And just the wide receivers in this range, just depending on landing spot, just don't give you excitement. Whereas all of these guys are number one guys that you know are going to produce for your team besides Travis Hunter. But he was such a high pick that if he ends up hitting, he could be somebody really special. So I'm willing to take the risk on him. And then at tight end, at this range, Kyle Pitts, Oronde Gadsden, just great players that you can add to your team in this range. I would personally be targeting Kyle Pitts more than Oronde Gadsden just because Gadsden had a great start and then kind of petered off, whereas Kyle Pitts has been strong. He's going to be back, and I think that he can do really well in that offense and just is an elite prospect as far as intangible tools. So this is what I'd be doing if I had these different picks. I hope this gives you just an idea of what you can go out there and get, what you might be able to trade for. I hope it gives you some ideas of what you can go. I would go back and screenshot some of those things to see, hey, can I actually make this move? Go send some of these moves out there. Go send some of these trades out there. I think it's a great time to make moves. And then as your draft approaches, I think these picks are just going to get more and more valuable. Yes, there's a stink on 26, but I believe just like every single year, 26 is going to get more and more and more popular. If you found, hey, I need to figure out a way to get my team better. I need to find a way to, figure out if I need to go after these players. I am currently offering roster reviews. And what I do is I go through your team one-on-one with you on video, and we talk about what moves you should be making, what players you should be selling, and what ways or what team you are. Are you a rebuilder? Are you a contender? Are you a retooler? And we figure that out and get you going so that you can win a championship in the future. So if you want a roster review, there's a link down in the description for you to go down there and sign up, grab a spot to have a roster review. And I encourage you, if you got anything actionable or encouraging from this video, subscribe down below and comment. Let me know what moves of these you've already made and what moves you're going to go try to make in the future. Again, I'm Caleb. This is Dynasty Edge HQ, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.